Main Intelligence Directorate of the Ukrainian Armed Forces has carried out another operation against Russian invaders in Crimea Peninsula. As part of the operation, Ukrainian drones have struck an S-300V long-range surface-to-air missile system belonging to the Russian army. Apart from the S-300V system, Ukrainian troops have also struck Obser-3 radar, Kasta-2E2 radar, ST-68 radar belonging to invaders in the Russian-held Crimea. The video posted in Telegram app shows Ukrainian drones striking the Russian targets. This was not the first major operation against Russian troops in Crimea. In the latest of such attacks, Ukrainian forces struck S-400 Triumph air missile system in the peninsula. It should be noted that Russia illegally annexed Crimea back in 2014. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last month stated that Kiev would not recognize Russia's invasion of Crimea amid speculations that US proposed peace deal would obligate Ukraine to give up the peninsula. New footage has emerged of Russian soldiers using old vehicles and motorcycles to move along the front line. The soldiers are moving in buggies, UAZs, and other vehicles that have been damaged in the fighting and have missing parts. This makes them easier targets for Ukrainian drones. It should be noted that the use of civilian vehicles by Russian soldiers on the front line has increased. This is largely due to the lack of armored vehicles. Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Oleksandr Syrsky said that since the beginning of 2024, the Russian army has lost 591,950 soldiers in the war against Ukraine. In 1 year and 4 months, Russian losses in terms of personnel have amounted to almost 600,000 people, he noted. The general emphasized that the defense forces of Ukraine continue to destroy the occupying Russian forces, bringing Ukraine closer to a just peace. Syrsky thanked Ukrainian soldiers for their resilience and effective combat performance. Russia has lost 951,960 troops in Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022, the General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces reported on April 30. The number includes 1,100 casualties that Russian forces suffered over the past day. According to the report, Russia has also lost 10,729 tanks, 22,353 armored fighting vehicles, 46,611 vehicles and fuel tanks, 27,091 artillery systems, 1,374 multiple launch rocket systems, 1,146 air defense systems, 370 airplanes, 335 helicopters, 34,289 drones, 28 ships and boats, and 1 submarine. Besides, North Korea has already lost about 4,700 troops, including wounded and killed, during fighting in Russia's Kursk region, according to Reuters. According to South Korean intelligence, a total of 15,000 soldiers from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea have been deployed by Russia to fight in the Kursk region. North Korea has lost approximately 4,700 troops, including 600 dead. It is also noted that in exchange for sending troops and supplying weapons to Russia, the DPRK received assistance from Moscow in the form of spy satellites, drones, and anti-aircraft missiles. After 6 months of participation in the war, the North Korean military has become less inept, and its combat capability has significantly improved as it becomes accustomed to using new weapons such as drones, said Lee Song-kweon, a member of the Parliamentary Intelligence Committee. Song-kweon also added that the bodies of deceased DPRK soldiers are cremated on the territory of Russian Kursk before being sent back to their homeland. The US and Ukraine on Wednesday signed an agreement granting American access to Ukraine's vast mineral resources. According to Associated Press, it could enable continued military aid to Kyiv amid concerns that President Donald Trump might scale back support in ongoing peace negotiations with Russia. The two sides offered only bare-bone details about the structure of the deal, which they called the United States-Ukraine Reinvestment Fund. But it is expected to give the U.S. access to Ukraine's valuable rare earth minerals while providing Kyiv a measure of assurance about continued American support in its grinding war with Russia. The announcement comes at a critical moment in the three-year war as Trump has grown increasingly frustrated with both sides. The signing comes 2 months after a different but similar agreement was nearly signed before being derailed in a tense Oval Office meeting involving President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump has long criticized Zelensky, saying he didn't have the cards to win the war and blaming him for prolonging the killing by not giving up Crimea, but in recent days has rebuked Russian President Vladimir Putin as well, saying he was complicating negotiations with very bad timing in launching deadly strikes on Kyiv.